Welcome to another edition of Get Handy Now. My name is Mark Dickinson, and I'm going to show you today how to repair a pressure washer by adding a backflow valve to the pump system. First thing you want to do is take a look at the tools that you will need to use. Second, you get started. And that's what we do at Get Handy Now. We get handy. So what we're going to do is we first have to remove the plug that is in the water supply line so that we can add a hose barb for our backflow valve hose so that we can create the circle or the circuit of the water flow. So this hose bib, you take your water hose or garden hose, twist it in here, and then the water flows in the pressure washer through the pump, which is powered by the Honda motor, and it flows through the pump, which pumps it out here, which comes out on the load side of the water line. This is a quick connect for your pressure wash hose. And we will show you how to put the hose in and how to fire up your pressure washer towards the end of this video. So what we're going to do is we have to remove this plug, and you're going to take an Allen wrench. Each head on each plug is a little different, so it's not just like one standard. So you can either use a Allen wrench tool that has multiple Allen wrenches that you can pull out, flip over, whatever. I have just a regular L-shaped Allen wrench that fits perfectly. And I'm simply going to take it and put it into the head of this plug, and I'm going to rotate it counterclockwise. Like so. Once it becomes loose, you can grab it with your fingers and twist it out. So the plug is out. Now, you take your hose barb, and you can get this hose barb at any hardware store, Home Depot, Lowe's, someplace like that. And the first thing you want to do with the hose barb before you put it in, well, technically, first thing you do is you want to take and make sure that it's the right size, that it's going to thread or grip onto the threading, which this one does. This one is a 3/8 inch hose barb, so that means that we have to get a hose that is a 3/8 inch inside diameter, so it will fit onto the hose barb that is a 3/8 inch outside diameter. Alright? You can get both of these at the same hardware store or Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever you shop. And you just simply want to make sure that it's going to fit. Don't push it all the way in, but you want to just put it far enough in so that you can see that it fits. Alright? Because you don't want to get too tight that you can't take it out. Alright? So, first thing we're going to do on this hose bib, after we made sure that it fit into the opening of the water supply, is we're going to take our PTFF thread tape, also known as Teflon tape, and we're simply going to wrap the threaded end. This can be tricky because you want the tape wrapped onto the thread so that when you put the threaded male end into the threaded female end, it tightens down and it doesn't go the opposite direction of the way that you wound the Teflon tape around your male threaded end. So if you're going to be twisting or tightening down and it spins clockwise, you want to wrap your Teflon tape in a counterclockwise direction. Or if you look at it on the threaded side, so if we wrap it this way, it's going to be going counterclockwise. That way. If you look at it from the thread size, then it's going to be wrapping around, going clockwise. You only need to do, in typical applications, a maximum of 2 rotations of the Teflon tape from where you started from. This will provide a secure, tight fit so that the water cannot escape. If you do too many wraps, you will not be able to get the male thread into the female threaded area. So be careful how many times you wrap it. And you just take and tighten, like pull a little tension on it, then hold your finger on the Teflon tape and pull it until it breaks. You may be left with a little bit of these little hairs from the tape. You just simply take your finger and run it in the same direction that you wrapped the tape around the male threaded end. Now we take the male threaded end and we put it into the female threaded area, and you want to use your hand to get it started, and then you can switch over to either a wrench or you can use a socket wrench. And for today we're going to be using a socket wrench. We are using a 9/16 inch extended socket. We're using the extension because where the head is on this hose barb is about 1 inch protruding, so we need to have the extra space in our socket so that the end of the barb does not bottom out and not even be able to reach the head to be able to tighten down. So you can take different sizes and test it to see if it bottoms out. Sometimes it's easier just to always use long ones unless you have a restriction on space. If you have a restriction on space to be able to use a ratchet, you can still use just a wrench or a adjustable wrench to be able to get into a tight space. So you can see you can tighten this down with this adjustable wrench, also known as a crescent wrench. So I'm going to take my 9/16 inch socket and I'm going to put it onto my socket wrench. Simply put it down over the top of the hose barb. Make sure that you're in the tightening mode instead of the loosening mode. You just ratchet it down until it's nice and tight. Once it gets to the tight spot where it's all the way in, as we tilt it, water comes out. You will know it's tight when you can't turn it anymore. Alright? That is nice and tight, that's not going anywhere. So we're going to use our 3/8 inch braided vinyl water hose. 3/8 inch interior diameter or inside diameter. Okay? If you go and you buy one at the store, it may say that it's 1 inch, it may say it's 7/8 or 3/4 or 5/8 or 1/2 inch. Make sure to look and see what the interior or inside diameter of that hose is, because that is what really counts. If it's a 1/2 inch inside and you're trying to get it onto a 3/8 outside hose barb is going to be way too loose. So make sure that your diameters line up with inside diameter and outside diameter, okay? So we have hose clamps that we put onto the hose prior to putting the hose onto the hose barbs. Reason you do that is because once the hose goes on, you're not going to be able to get one of these hose clamps on to secure the fit of the hose on the hose bar. So we went ahead and put those on, and I'm simply going to put one end on this hose barb, and I'm just going to push it as hard as I can, maybe rotate it around back and forth, up and down, to get it where it's all the way on and nice and tight. Alright, I'm not going to worry about the hose clamp because I want to make sure that the other end of the hose reaches the other hose barb, which is easily going to be able to do. You can have some extra slack in your hose. You don't really want to have a ton of extra slack, but you want to have enough so that the hose does not end up pinching, creasing, or creating a restriction of the water flow. So I left enough where it could make a very smooth, rounded maneuver. I put it now over the other hose barb, and all we're going to do is slide the hose clamp into position. I'm going to take the extended socket off of my ratchet, and first I'm going to put on a socket reducer. You can see the female end that fits onto the socket wrench is larger than the other end, which is the reduced size, so that the smaller ratchet or smaller socket will fit just like so. So this reduces the size to be able to use smaller sockets. Simply plug it in. Now we're ready to use it. You want to adjust your socket, you want to adjust your hose clamp where you have easy access to be able to tighten it down. If it's like this, you may not be able to really get it on very easy. So just make it where it's easier for you. Simply put it on. You may have to put your finger on the socket as you ratchet back. Once it starts to get tight enough, you won't have to hold your finger on it. Let's readjust it a little bit here. Wiggle around, move it up. It's starting to get on the head of that hose barb. There we go. There we go. So finish tightening it down. Tighten it, hold the socket, let it grow, hold it, tighten it. Alright. And now it is fully tight. You do not want to over tighten because you'll have a possibility of the metal, which can be very sharp, of the metal cutting into the hose, and then you will create an air hole for air to get in, and you will end up losing pressure on your pressure washer. So we simply come over to the other side. This one's going to be a little bit tighter. It's a little smaller than the other one. We just want to kind of wiggle it down. You may even have to loosen, which means that you have to readjust the direction of your socket wrench. And we're just going to open this mechanism up a little bit. And we're going to set this down. We're going to wiggle it down here so it's covering the hose barb on this side. And then we'll make it where we can access it real easy and not have anything blocking us. We're going to turn the mechanism on the socket wrench to the tightening side. And we're going to tighten it down just like it did the other one. So make a turn, hold your socket, make a turn, hold your socket, make a turn, hold your socket. All right, and that is nice and tight. It is not going to go anywhere. So, to recap, we just added a water hose for the backflow valve, and what the backflow valve does, which I don't think I explained to you, was when the water comes in and it comes out, and you're holding the wand with the trigger handle, or you're using a surface cleaner with a trigger handle. If your pressure washer does not have a backflow valve, when you let go of that handle, the motor is going to shut off. And then you have to turn the water off to release the pressure, and then you turn the water back on, and then you have to hold your wand while you pull the cord, and it becomes a hassle. So if you add a backflow valve to your pressure washer system, when you let go of the handle on your wand or your surface cleaner, then when the pressure stops pushing through, blah, 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 the backflow is going to catch it and it's going to recycle the water back into the supply, so you're not wasting water, and it's going to keep water moving through the pump so that your machine does not turn off. So now that we have the backflow valve on, all we need to do is connect our water supply, connect our pressure wash hose. This is a 4,000 PSI pressure wash machine. So I use a 4,000 PSI rated pressure wash hose, which has a quick connect that looks a lot like this guy. And all we do, pull the collar back on it, stick the male end into the female end of the quick connect, let it go, it's fully connected. Now we do, after we plug the water in, make sure you always run a pressure washer with water turned on, because it can and will burn up your pump if you do not. So all we need to do, fire it up, and it's going to work perfectly. Thank you for watching Get Handy Now. Make sure to like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and make sure to share it with your friends. We appreciate you watching, appreciate you doing that, and now it's time for you to go out and get handy now. We'll see you later.